Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Core Productions here to talk about The X-Files, Season 10, Episode 1, titled My Struggle. The episode's description reads as follows. After the collapse of the relationship, former FBI agents Fox Mulder and Dana Scully are reunited by a TV host who promotes conspiracy theories about the government and believes the alien abductions are actually false flag operations. The episode was written by Chris Carter, and the episode was directed by Chris Carter. The last thing worked on by Carter before this was a TV movie in 2016. Before that was the X-Files I Want to Believe movie in 2008. Before that, nothing since the early 2000s. The episode originally aired on January 24th, 2016. Before going any further, I'll tell you a couple of things. One, this is not a sport-free podcast. If you haven't watched the episode, I highly recommend you go check it out and then come back and give me a listen. Secondly, if you're listening on the platforms this podcast is now available on, please follow, and feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Core Productions, where additional content can be discovered. If you're already on my YouTube channel, please like, share, and comment, and subscribe to the channel. Alright, by the end of the X-Files original run, the mythology of the show had descended into incomprehensible nonsense. The show ended in 2002 with the series finale, The Truth, with a less than stellar final episode that saw the return of David Duchovny, who left the show at the end of Season 8. The X-Files would return with I Want to Believe in 2008, 6 years later, that would ignore the mythology of the show and was mostly a quiet Monster of the Week type of movie. The movie's reception was mixed. I enjoyed it at the time. Whether I still do or not is a question that I will answer at a later date. I think I'd have to rewatch it to really give you an answer anyway. When I got word that the X-Files is going to return in 2016 with a limited 6-episode run, I was excited. And there are episodes that I am happy that they exist, sandwiched in between the premieres and finales, which were not very good. I skipped ahead from where I was in my rewatch from Season 2 to these two revival seasons because I believe that I would have plenty to talk about with these episodes. Indeed, I'll have fun ripping some of these episodes to shreds, but I don't want these episodes to serve as my final word on the series. In the final episodes that I covered before skipping ahead in Season 2, we had Chris Carter's directorial debut of an episode that he also wrote titled Dwayne Barry, which was the best the show had to offer. At one point, Chris Carter was a talent on this series and in general. As I pointed out towards the beginning, after The X-Files ended in 2002, Carter did not really do much after. There are episodes in the revival that I enjoy quite a bit, the exception being anything that has Chris Carter's name attached to it, which is a depressing statement, but nonetheless it is true. When I watched the season premiere of Season 10, My Struggle, I enjoyed it quite a bit. This, I believe, is mostly due to the excitement of having further adventures with Mulder and Scully. It has not aged well. In fact, watching it now, I can see the repeat of themes and story points that they had in prior seasons. This episode was the best of the My Struggle episodes, which is not really saying very much. Every other My Struggle episode was terrible and will get worse and worse as the series progressed. The premieres and finales of these two seasons were really, really bad. The whole approach to Season 10 was unfortunately flawed. Gillian Anderson told Carter that modern audiences wanted shows with arcs, with each episode being more serialized. This was advice that Carter did not take. The 6-episode season should have been one self-contained story. It wasn't. The only episodes that dealt with the new mythology of the show was the premiere and the finale. So we have this huge story in the finale that was not in any way properly set up and ended on a cliffhanger when there was no guarantee the show would come back. Thankfully it would, but the attempt to course correct after the finale was, to put it mildly, not successful. That, however, is a conversation for another day. So let's get into the season premiere of Season 10. The episode opens with a monologue from Fox Mulder narrating what the old series was all about, which we see play out in pictures, and we hear the history of the UFOs and cover-ups. We see a spaceship crash, and then we have our credits. We have our old-style credits with one difference. Mitch Pileggi, as Skinner, is in the credits as he was in the final couple seasons of the original series. When we come back, we are in the past following a doctor on a bus. He asks, "Are we there yet?" and is told 2 shakes of a lamb's tail before arriving at the scene, a UFO crash. The Doctor is played by Giacomo Basada, 68 credits for him, including the Good Doctor, as a regular for the final 3 seasons, 3 episodes of Wayward Pines, and an episode of Once Upon a Time. My best guess for who's behind him is played by Gardner Miller, 74 credits for him, including an episode of The 100, 3 episodes of Goosebumps, and an episode of The Flash. He previously appeared in a 5th season episode of The X-Files called Synchrony. We cut to Scully at work, the Our Ladies of Sorrows hospital that we first saw in the I Want to Believe movie. She gets a call from one Walter Skinner. We cut to footage of Obama on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, discussing UFOs, no less. Mulder's watching and gets a call from Scully. Skinner wanted to reach Mulder because a right-wing guy with an internet show, Tad O'Malley, wants to talk to Mulder. O'Malley is played by Joe McHale, 93 credits for him, including a regular on Community, a single appearance on Pushing Daisies, and the movie The Informant, which is a movie I really enjoy, by the way. The Informant actually has Scott Bakula in it, who I regularly talk about on this channel. He's in 4 episodes of this series. I'm pretty sure that all of them are in the My Struggle episodes. Mulder agrees to meet and says Scully is coming with him. Scully and Mulder meet first. They are still fond of each other, but she moved out, and it's been a while since they've talked. They meet with O'Malley, who says he is a true believer, but Mulder says he only wants to believe. Actual proof is hard to come by. Mulder quizzes him to see if he's for real. He passes the test. O'Malley is rattling cages within the intelligence community and wants to introduce the pair to someone, who turns out to be a UFO abductee named Sabetta, played by Annette Manindru. 43 credits for her, including The Americans, Father Stu, and 4 episodes of The Following. This is her one and only appearance on the series. Mulder has previously talked to her when she was a little girl, which Mulder doesn't remember. She has a story about being an abductee who was impregnated and then the baby's taken. She claims to have alien DNA, but that has not yet been confirmed. So Mulder suggests Scully can test that. We cut back to the past with the doctor and the military. They run into an actual alien, and of course the military does what the military does and shoots the alien dead over the objections of the doctor. And yep, that's a bleeping dead alien if I ever saw one. Scully tests Sabetta, who's skeptical. She claims to be a mind reader who can control objects, but she can't demonstrate it. Sabetta tells Mulder's depression is what killed the relationship. Sabetta says Scully doesn't know what it's like to be abducted, and then realizes, oh, maybe she does. Mulder is taken by Tad O'Malley to a bunch of paranoid people who have an alien spacecraft in their garage or their warehouse or whatever. And this spacecraft apparently runs off free energy. Energy available from the universe itself that has a gravity warp drive, which is actually a pretty cool concept that is not really explored any further in the series past this episode. Garner in the scene is played by Hiro Kawanaga. 215 credits for him, including 6 episodes of Smallville as the principal, 4 episodes of Star Trek Discovery, and an episode of The Lone Gunman. 3 episodes of The X-Files, including Firewalker Season 2 and Synchrony Season 4. In the past, we see the doctors grab the alien body over the objections of the military. Scully is doing a test when she is visited by O'Malley, which leads to a date. And this is completely pointless, other than creating, I guess, some tension between Mulder and Scully, which never even manifests in this episode or anywhere, really. Mulder visits, and, Scully also doesn't have very great taste. I'm not a big fan of Tad O'Malley, for the record. Also in this scene, Scully is going to discuss her work with kids that is going to come back and bite her in the ass later. Meanwhile, Mulder meets with Sabetta, who believes that she was impregnated and that her babies were taken by humans, not aliens. She was afraid she would be killed if she ever told the truth. Mulder calls Scully, who's on her date with O'Malley. He now thinks that there was no alien conspiracy. He thinks Sabetta is the key to everything. And, well, I'm pretty sure I've heard that before. He hangs up on Scully and leaves her hanging, just like old times. Mulder goes to the old X-Files office, which has clearly been abandoned for some time now. Mulder is clearly pissed as he's led in by Skinner as he rips up a I Want to Believe poster. And how you doing, Mitch Pileggi? You're looking pretty good. Man, do you ever even age? You look the same as he did 20 years ago. What fountain of youth did you discover? Mulder is mad because he thinks he's been deceived all these years about alien conspiracies, this and that. And Skinner wonders if Mulder is blaming him for that. And Skinner says there isn't a day that has gone by that he wishes that Mulder wasn't down in that old office. But there's no way to contact Mulder. We bring up a lot of good ideas in this scene, such as the whole idea of being spied on domestically by our own government, the whole Patriot Act thing, the police state, so on and so forth. But again, we aren't going to explore any of these ideas going forward within this revival. And these are the exact ideas that the show should have been exploring. This is the X-Files. This is the kind of thing that is right in their wheelhouse, but they never really do. At any rate, the scene ends with Mulder giving Skinner his number, so now Skinner can contact him. Scully gets the test results from Sabetta, and meanwhile, she sees Tad O'Malley on his show talking about the work that she is doing with the kids, and she is clearly not very happy about this. Mulder meets with his news source. He is someone who said that he would confirm if he ever put the pieces together, and Mulder believes he has. He goes on a rant, and the man thinks he's wasting his time. Mulder talks about how he was cleverly deceived, and we've certainly heard this type of thing before. This man before us is revealed to be the doctor we saw at the beginning. Mulder wants to reveal the truth, and the man believes him to be close. He tells Mulder that Roswell is a smokescreen, and we've heard that from Deep Throat 30 years ago, so this is not exactly new information. Mulder's source here, by the way, is played by Rance Howard, 285 credits for him, which is pretty absurd, including Arrested Development during its revival, 2 episodes of Bones, and Apollo 13 as a Reverend. We're pretty much never going to see this character again, so he's pretty much pointless. Mulder and Scully meet. He believes he has finally discovered the truth. Scully thinks Mulder is on a dangerous ground on a psychological level. Sabetta shows up at the door, and he tells Scully that she's the key to everything, and she goes to leave. But Tad O'Malley shows up and talks to her, thinking she's there because she was invited. Yeah, not so much. But she ends up coming inside anyway. We have more nonsense spewed at us. They want to announce on television that the government is going to take over America and then the world using blah 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 blah, basically an alien invasion of the US by a shadow government. Scully thinks saying all this would be irresponsible, and indeed, what is their basis for saying any of this? Where is their proof? Scully says that Sabetta has no alien DNA. Sabetta, meanwhile, throws a wrench in the works by going on TV and saying that O'Malley is a liar, and Scully gets new test results in. This is where everything goes to shit for our heroes. The paranoid guy that has the alien spaceship, I guess, had a right to be paranoid because he soon rated his tech destroyed, and yeah, he's pretty much done for. Tad O'Malley goes offline. No big loss there, because it's not exactly like the guy was the most charming guy in the world. No offense, of course, to Joe McNeil. I mean, he's certainly a charming guy, but his character definitely is not. Mulder and Scully meet in a parking garage where there's a little thing on the Scully's window, not to give up, which is a reference to I Want to Believe, the movie. And it seems like both Mulder and Scully have renewed interest in figuring things out, going after the conspiracy, because they have to get these people. They get a message from Skinner, the text message specifically, hey, welcome to the 21st century. And it says, mission situation is critical. They need to report to his office immediately. Well, I mean, technically, they don't work for Skinner, but whatever. Not at this time, anyway. We see Cancer Man on the phone, who reveals that there's a small problem. The X-Files has been reopened as he smokes through a hole in his neck. And yeah, it's pretty unbelievable that Cancer Man is back, because we last saw him in the series finale getting blown up by a missile, and I'm sorry, there is no way to survive that. And that is pretty much where the episode ends. Yeah, it hasn't aged very well. I was excited when I initially saw this episode, but in recent times, it definitely has gone down in quality in my mind. It's basically a mishmash of ideas. None of them cohere into anything cohesive, and that's really the problem for the Revival series in general. It's not just this episode problem, but the entire 2 seasons of the X-Files Revival. Now, like I said, there's plenty of episodes that exist in the Revival series that I am happy that exists. I'm happy that it came back for those episodes, but all in all, it is not a very cohesive story. It is pretty clear with this series that Chris Carter is not the writer that he once was. I mean, it happens to us all eventually. We get old and we are not what we used to be. But if there's going to be any continuation of the X-Files, it needs to be under new management, under new blood. which there are rumors that something like that is going to happen eventually under Ryan Coogler, which may or may not include Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny. Now, whether I'm going to watch that series or not is debatable, but we will certainly see if it ever even happens. Given the age, I think there's definitely room for the X-Files in our current pop culture. However, it definitely needs a new direction and new ideas, which Chris Carter, at this point, clearly doesn't have any. Now, as usual, the X-Files wiki has some interesting information from the creators and about the reception for the episode back in 2016. Prior to filming, Carter explained that he had ideas for every character and that the series would strive to tell fresh stories in a very new political environment. Carter adapted the series to the political and social climate of America during the presidency of Barack Obama and stated that there would be plenty of references to Edward Snowden, WikiLeaks, and Julian Assange. For the revival's mythology episodes, of which this is one, Carter noted that he wanted to monkey with it and give you a spin and twist on it, which is really just the old twist and spins, by the way, but moving on. Casting, after it was confirmed that both Duchovny and Anderson would reprise their roles as Mulder and Scully, widespread speculation ensued as to who would also return. Early on, it was discovered that Mitch Pileggi, who played Walter Skinner, and William B. Davis, who played Cigarette Smoking Man, would return. Joel McHale was announced as a guest star in June 2015, playing Tad O'Malley, a conservative internet news anchor who is an unlikely ally of Mulder. With My Struggle, the series returned to Vancouver, Canada for filming. This marked the first time that the series had filmed an episode in the city since the 5th season finale, The End, which aired in 1998. Filming for the episode commenced June 8, 2015. Most of the episode is set in Washington, D.C. The crew tried to find parts of Vancouver that could play the aforementioned city. Certain shots were digitally altered, with shots of the United States Capitol building and Washington Monument added in post-production. One of the episode's opening scenes is a dramatic visualization of the supposed Roswell crash that took place in 1947. Mark Preborn, the series production designer, according to Carter, came up with the UFO crash that was so much bigger and better than I ever imagined it would be. Art director Shannon Grover noted that everyone wanted to see a 1950s classic flying saucer used in that scene. In addition to a scene featuring a computer-generated version of a saucer crashing, the production crew also created a box-wrecked saucer that was around 50 feet in diameter. Ratings: My Struggle debuted on January 24, 2016, and was watched by 16.19 million viewers. It scored a 6.1 Nielsen rating in the 18 to 49 old demographic. Nielsen ratings are audience measurement systems that determine the audience size and compositions of television programming in the United States, which means that the episode was seen by 6.1% of all individuals aged 18 to 49 years old who were watching television at the time of the episode's airing. In terms of viewers, this made My Struggle the highest rated premiere since the 7th season opener, The Sixth Extinction, in 1999, which was viewed by 17.82 million people. As was the most watched episode of The X-Files to air since the 8th season episode, This Is Not Happening, in 2001, which was watched by 16.9 million viewers. When DVR and streaming are taken into account, My Struggle was seen by 21.4 million viewers, scoring a 7.1 Nielsen rating. This put it on par with the average viewership of the show's highly rated 5th season. The episode debuted to a select crowd at the 2015 New York Comic Con. Critical reception was mostly positive. Sadie Guinness of TV Guide wrote, "The episode immediately establishes that this is not a reboot, nor a mere cash grab, but a thoughtful continuation of the beloved franchise." Chris Edgerstein of Hitflix wrote that the tone of this revival is very reminiscent of the show's original run, and that if you were a fan of the old X-Files, you're probably going to like the new X-Files just fine. Jane Merkelins of The Telegraph called the debut a fresh and one of the highlights of the convention. Furthermore, she noted that the premiere was popular with fans who greeted the episode with a standing ovation. However, pre-release reviews of My Struggle, released after New York Comic Con, were more critical. Brian Rowery of Variety magazine panned the opening episode, writing, "It's simply hard to escape the prevailing malaise of this being a deal-driven exercise, a chance to cash in on the name recognition of the title, in a format that has mitigated the time commitment for all concerned." Similarly, Tim Goodman, writing for The Hollywood Reporter, described the premiere as a very underwhelming hour that will force even die-hard fans to consider whether pushing onward is really worth the time. Darian French of the Entertainment Weekly awarded the episode a C-, calling it one of the single strangest episodes of anything ever, due to it featuring Matt Fowler of IGN awarded it a 7.2 out of 10, denoting a good episode. Fowler wrote positively of Mandrell's performance as Sabetta, and he also applauded the focus of the conspiracy as well as the episode's ending. However, he criticized it for having a bored, disinterested tone. And I think that's all I got for you for this video. The next episode will be Founder's Mutation, the second episode of Season 10. If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join one of my Core Productions Facebook pages. You can buy something from the Core Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a copy. You can join the Core Productions membership for 99 cents a month. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to the channel. This is Dave from Core Productions, signing off.